What can we do when our life is dominated by an ever-growing to-do list that we struggle to keep up with? How can we let go and make time for rest? Welcome to Mindfulness for Beginners. Hello my friend, hope you're happy, hope you're peaceful. It's your old pal Sean, and big thanks to Megan who became a supporter of the podcast on Patreon. If you have the means to support what I'm doing here, then please do consider becoming a patron. May's creative competition on the concept of freedom is open for the next couple of days on the Facebook page. Not many entries so far, so you get a great chance of winning a mindfulness prize of your choice. Last month's winner asked for a chinwag with me, and so I met with Larry and Jane for a guided meditation and some mindfulness chat. That could be you too. I'll be sending out the invites for the June podcast invite soon, so if you haven't been to one before, please do add your name to the invite list. All the links are, of course, in the description. And big thanks to Nikki, who suggested this week's episode topic. You can suggest ideas too in the Facebook group. There's a lot of great things about living in the UK. People stand in orderly queues without having to be instructed. The classic British sense of humour. The full English, vegetarian of course, which for those not familiar is what a heart attack would look like if it came in the form of a breakfast. Lovely bracing weather that gives you the experience of all four seasons and possibly more in one day. But one of my favourite things about living in the UK is bank holidays. If you live in the US, a bank holiday is a federal holiday like Memorial Day, except we have 8 of them and they don't count towards your paid time off. In Northern Ireland, my province of origin, they actually have 2 extra bank holidays, although that's a long story which we're not going to get into on a mindfulness podcast. We even have an extra holiday for the King's birthday in June, not his actual birthday, where every Irishman like me in the civil service suddenly becomes a staunch monarchist. God save the King. These long weekends mostly aren't attached to any holidays or events, or even spread out in any way that makes sense. But in Britain, we're not complaining, although we do like to complain. We just sit back and enjoy watching the rain through our long weekend. Which is what I'm doing this weekend. In an attempt to be more productive, though, I've made a list for myself. I've got a difficult habit of procrastinating and letting things slide until they reach critical mass and require immediate action. A good example being my recent trip to the dentist. I had avoided it while also worrying about my teeth, until recently when a tooth suddenly became incredibly sensitive. Luckily, everything is fine, but aversion and avoidance are obviously not the path of happiness. So I make lists. This weekend I need to mend the fence, do some gardening, write the podcast with the words that I'm typing right now, and reply to emails. Emails are a great example of why I need a list, because I struggle to keep up. And it helps a lot. What I find whenever I tick something off a list is that I realised I'd been stressed about it. And by taking it on rather than avoiding it, I reduce the suffering that I'm experiencing in the background of my mind without being fully aware. Being on top of things and minimising aversion and avoidance is very good for us. But there is a balance to strike. A to-do list can be infinite, and having an endless to-do list is something that creates stress instead of calmness. So rather than aversion, we're now causing ourselves suffering through attachment. And this is the reason why I enjoy working a lot more than studying. When I was at university, I never had enough time to cover everything I wanted to. Some other people in the course appeared to find it very straightforward while I struggled, and there wasn't really enough hours in a day to catch up or do as well as I thought I could do. The to-do list dominated every waking hour I had, and even when I was supposed to be relaxing, there it was, looming in the background. This is the experience of a lot of people with their job, their family life, or at school. Rather than being a tool to help us to reduce avoidance and prevent storing up problems, to-do lists become physical manifestations of our attachments. I need to achieve in school. I need to be a good parent. I need to show my boss that I can cut it. That word need that we tell ourselves is not really a need in any real sense. It's shorthand for my happiness depends on this. And as we know from the practice, when our happiness depends on anything outside of ourselves, that's an attachment, and attachments put us on a path of suffering. So in a way, an out-of-control to-do list is a good thing, as it's allowing us to surface what is driving our suffering. Thanks, to-do list. So how do we get the balance right? Well, to-do lists are a great thing to have if you're a procrastinator like me. You can use them to prompt yourself and then try to enjoy whatever it is that you're avoiding, which might be difficult. You might have some anxiety around the task. But when I finally did go to the dentist, I enjoyed the walk to the clinic. I enjoyed meeting the staff, had a few jokes even though I was feeling anxious, and focused on my breath while I was in the waiting room. Happiness is possible, one of the 4 noble truths. But if your life is dominated by out-of-control to-do lists, ask yourself what you're attached to. What does this list represent? Do I want my happiness to be dependent on this? The opinions of others, achievement in a job, a particular grade in school? Then meditate on that attachment, which is going to be our guided meditation today. Then you can choose whether you want to throw away your to-do list or work with it in a more mindful way. Let go of getting to the end of it, prioritize the important stuff, and don't worry whether you get to the less important things. And if you find yourself saying, well, it's all important, take that as a prompt to step back and review whether you're taking on too much. This is another difficult habit of mine. I love sharing the practice, but I paint myself into corners because I overcommit. There needs to be room for rest in your life. Mindfulness doesn't work as a sticking plaster for unsustainable busyness or becoming a workaholic. So I would invite you to restructure your life in a way that supports your peace, rather than structuring mindfulness to support overachievement. So now we're going to do a guided meditation on our attachments. I would invite you to think of a couple of yours. You might want to pause this podcast, perhaps what your to-do lists and busy life point towards. So let's pause just for a moment to let those surface. And I'm going to list a couple of mine in the guided meditations, but feel free to switch them for yours. I'm going to start as we always do by applying our beginner's mind to your posture. So I would invite you to imagine that you have a thread attached to the crown of your head and it's gently pulling you upwards into an upright position, your spine like a stack of coins, your heart raised upwards and outwards, your hands comfortably in your lap, and just allowing a gentle smile to emerge in your face as we take a moment to enjoy the stability of our posture. Then expanding that spotlight of awareness to your entire body, noticing where you feel warm or cold, noticing where you feel tense or relaxed, becoming aware of the sensations of the clothes against your skin, and the points of contact between your body and the chair and the floor. Then shifting your awareness to your thoughts and feelings. And as we go through the guided meditation, just noticing each thought as it arises, and that might be an anxious thought about tomorrow. It could be a happy thought about today, or a sad thought about yesterday. Just sitting with each thought for a moment. allowing it to leave. And gently, without judgment, bringing your attention back to your breath. Finally, focusing your awareness in the breath, noticing that column of air between your nose and your diaphragm. Noticing how the air feels cooler on the way in. Warmer on the way out. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. In, out. Breathing in, I see my attachment to my relationships. Breathing out, I accept the impermanence of my relationships. Attachment to relationships, impermanence. Breathing in, I see my attachment to how people perceive me. Breathing out, I accept the impermanence of how people perceive me. Attachment to how people perceive me. Impermanence. Breathing in, I see my attachment to my beliefs. Breathing out, I accept the impermanence of my beliefs. Attachment to beliefs. Impermanence. Breathing in, I see the impermanence of my attachments. Breathing out, I smile to the impermanence of my attachments. Impermanence of attachments, smiling. Breathing in, I establish myself in the present moment. Breathing out, I realize it is a wonderful moment. Present moment, wonderful moment. As we reach the end of the guided meditation, just taking a moment or two to notice any changes in your body, any areas of relaxation, any areas of discomfort, and taking a moment to stretch those, maybe your back or your legs. Noticing any changes in your mind. If you feel a sense of calm or peace, then I would invite you to carry that through the rest of your day. And finally, opening your eyes and returning your awareness to the room that you're in. And so your mindfulness homework for this week is have a think and examine, reflect on what your to-do list represents. So what's the attachment that sits underneath that? Maybe practice prioritization and letting go of the idea of getting everything done. And finally, making some time planning for rest. Just giving yourself some time to work on some wholesome, mindful activities. It might be meditation, it might be music, it might be gardening. Just something that's not structured where you can enjoy simply being. And may you be happy, may you be peaceful, and may you see yourself through the eyes of understanding and compassion. Slán will you, and I'll see you next time.
Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I